Post everything. And let's see, get rid of that. Hi, everybody. Let's get the screen sharing going so we can get started here in a momento. Uh, Bam, there we go. We'll give people a few minutes to tune in and see what's going on. Hey, everybody in the YouTube chat. And hello to everybody in our Discord. Yes, second YouTube Live discussing the future Hurricane Helene impacts. And then it's time for me to go after that. So we'll wait a couple minutes just to give people time to get notified. Again, the importance of having the notifications set to all for channels like mine where you want to be notified. And then when the event is over, you're like, I don't want to be bothered anymore. You can turn it off. Just don't forget to turn it back on. All right. So today's update, I'll go over a few structural things going on with our potential tropical cyclone. An interesting post up here from Bryce Shelton. And then we're going to get into the very important what to expect part, because at the end of the day, it's all about the impacts. And as I say often, it's okay to be selfish when it comes to the weather. How will this affect me? And that's what I want to help you to try to figure out. All right. So again, we'll give it just a second here, another minute or so. Excuse me. Didn't sleep very much last night. Lots on my mind. And we'll get started here in just a moment. Just seeing what all is happening in the email world. That's going to get very busy. That's for sure. Get a drink of Fiji water here. I love the Fiji water. We have too much Gen X in our water here in Wilmington, North Carolina. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I do drink some tap water, but it's filtered, of course. And then when I'm in the office, we get the Fiji water. And on the road. No, they're not a sponsor. Maybe one day, right? All right. We'll give it another minute, 60 seconds, and then we will officially get started. Let's go over back to the YouTube and say hi to everybody. Who all do we have? It's tiny, all that little tab over. Maybe I can figure out how to make the chat bigger so I can see it. And I see Adam up there from the Cayman Islands. Chicken Run Aficionado is that the movie? The Chicken Run movie? Curious to know. Gabrielle G, Gabriel and Ethan M, Damon in there, Bob Hurd. Hello from Tampa. Well, hello from Wilmington. All right. And then on our Discord, and I'll talk about how to get on our Discord if you want to do so at the end of today's update. So let me go back to the title card, see who we have. Hmm. Yep. Well, I'll read that in a second. Let's officially start this, shall we? Whew, deep breath. It's a lot of stuff coming up. Well, good morning, everybody. Mark Sudduth here. Welcome to my latest Hurricane Outlook and discussion live here on YouTube. Appreciate you tuning in. Yesterday was quite a success for my debut. We streamed live from the road. Many, many times we've done that since 2017, I think, when YouTube had a way to do that on a mobile device. But anyway, good to do it from the office and give you my insights, um, unscripted, just kind of, talking amongst all of us as if we were sitting in a big room together. I think that's the best way to do this. So time is short because I got to get on the road here soon and make my way down to Florida. I'll talk about that at the end of today's update. So let's talk about the structure of PTC 9 here real quick. Get my telestrator going. That's very important because I got to be able to draw on things. So a couple of things that happened with it. First, John happened. Why is it doing that? There we go. John happened, and some of that outflow got over here and kind of displaced the convection, and the whole thing just kind of got shoved a little bit. Even though John is far, far away, it shows you how those tropical cyclones with that big outflow canopy can affect systems even in another basin. So across Central America. John trying to sort of reach out and talk to future Helene, I guess. Unrelated to future Helene at all. This is interesting, isn't it? No mention of it that I saw from the National Hurricane Center. But real quick, you folks down here, Barbados already getting in on it. If that's a tropical wave, even I wasn't paying too much attention. I was like, wait, I was talking to Matt last night, one of our colleagues. I was like, what is that? So you folks down there in the Windward Islands, starting with Barbados, yeah, you're going to have some weather as that system comes in. But the structure of our potential tropical cyclone down here starting to improve. You certainly see the outflow with it. And all it has to do is line everything up. Think about a slinky. Everybody raise your hand if you've had a slinky before. Those are cool. And you can take that slinky and you can visualize it holding it in your hand. I should get one. I do. I need to go on Amazon and get one. So the slinky represents sort of the structure of your tropical cyclone, and you can tilt that thing. That's the cool part about a slinky is you can tilt it and move it all around. And when everything's aligned and the slinky is vertical, that's what happens when these things stack up from the low levels, the mid levels, and the upper levels, all the way up to the 200 millibar level. And once everything's aligned, it's go time. And so right now, the slinky is kind of messy. It's not quite vertical. And John helped to take that slinky and move it a little bit from the outflow there. So as this gets stronger and more organized, it'll intensify over the very warm waters of the Northwest Caribbean Sea here, and then eventually move into the area of the Big Bend, some such place. Exactly where kind of doesn't matter because we're going to have a big surge. All right. So, speaking of all of this, because I want to really get to the impacts, we saw the 18Z run of the GFS and other models yesterday, and it was almost like the GFS in particular, operational, said, "Oh, my bad. So sorry. So sorry. Not category 4 or almost a 5 or whatever, but maybe a category 2." It was like, what in the world? And I think part of that was just that it was still structurally, you know, messed up, so to speak. And so a couple of the hurricane models yesterday reacted the new HAS, what we call the HAFS models, the HAFS A and B. Um, they kind of followed suit in being much less intense, but the older and still operational HWRF and HMON replaced the GFDL, those remained strong. And that was like, okay. So we all waited for the 0Z runs. I did. I was up late for that. I was also working on other stuff. And they all came back. So all four models overnight, the big hurricane models, your venerable HWRF and HMON, the two HAFS models, HAFS, the A and B, all four of them unanimously brought this thing back to significant major hurricane intensity, right? Same thing. This is the tweet here from the post from Bryce Shelton. I just saw this. And anybody at Mississippi State Meteorology, I mean, come on, right? A lot of colleagues and friends from there. But it's important to note that the 6Z hurricane models, and this will be valid at 5 p.m. Thursday, show an extremely dangerous major hurricane. Helene will be the name, of course, closing in on the Florida Big Bend. And with that comes these impacts, maybe 12 feet plus in the Big Bend, 5 to 8 feet in Tampa Bay, and we're going to get into the impacts in a minute, but I just want you to remember those numbers are above ground level. We don't do that above normally mean low water, whatever. That confuses people. You just say it's going to be 6 feet above the ground. So if you're 6 feet tall and it comes in the right conditions, you will be underwater. All right. So all the models came back around. This is your HWRF, the Hurricane Weather Research Forecast model. Now, look, is 922 millibars what I'm expecting? No. I think it's overdoing it, but it shows a very well developed hurricane, and that is the bottom line here an intense hurricane. The HAFS B, 911 millibars. Let's really hope not. Let's not do that. Smaller wind field, much tighter, more compact hurricane. And then the HAFS A, 923. And then, of course, the HMON 942. So I can't do the math off the top of my head if you average those out. And it doesn't work that way. That's not how they do it. well, let's just take those four pressure averages and that's the intensity. No, it doesn't work that way. There is a consensus and there's other factors. But what I do see is all four regional hurricane models that are made for hurricanes are predicting, forecasting a solid hurricane, major hurricane coming into the Big Bend area. So that's what we need to look for. And today it looks a little bit disheveled still, but it is getting there. And as John dies away over here and this outflow starts to diminish, this will start to wrap up. It'll align, like I said, like the slinky there, and it should start to intensify. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, once it starts to clear the Yucatan Channel right through here and make that turn, that is when the rapid intensification will probably happen. All right. So that's what I'm thinking. And that's what makes sense. And the Hurricane Center buys into that as well, of course. And we got to talk about impact. So this is the most important part. A lot of people discuss models at great length, all the different things that could happen with the hurricane structurally, maybe even a few fail modes. But I think it's very important to talk about impacts more and more as these get closer to land because we know there's going to be a hurricane and we know it's probably going to be strong. So I want to kind of try to train my audience to think about, okay, we know it's coming, so how bad is it going to be? All right. So the National Hurricane Center is a terrific stopping point for that. And everything you need to know, honest to goodness, is right here in these little thumbnails, this dashboard, whatever you want to call it. It is all right there. And even above it, you got your public advisory, your forecast discussion, and this is really important here. The forecast discussion gets you into the mind of the forecaster. That's written by, in this case, Eric Blake. And some of us know Eric personally. So that's not computer generated. It's not a template. It's really written by a person. So read these things in here. The public advisory is really good, the forecast discussion. But then let's talk about impacts. And I'm getting texted. Let's just make sure we're not seeing any. All right. Want to make sure there's no emergencies. My number one concern is storm surge. And storm surge is, just in case you were not familiar with it, let's talk about what it's not. Remember the movie The Day After Tomorrow, where that huge wave came into Manhattan and whatnot? That's not storm surge. That's Hollywood storm surge. Storm surge is literally the wind pushing the ocean, the Gulf in this case, onshore, and the water rises as it gets shoved on shore. You could do it in your little kiddie pool or your whatever regular pool with a leaf blower. You aim the leaf blower to the water, it blows the water in a certain direction. That is storm surge on a tiny scale. Storm surge in the ocean and in the real world is the gradual rise in water because of the wind pushing the water onshore. It's not one tidal wave at the end or anything like that. It can come up rapidly, but then on top of that gradual rise in water, and sometimes rapid rise in water, you have waves. And those waves can be very high, depending on where you are. The Gulf of Mexico is very vulnerable to storm surge because of that right there, the continental shelf. It gets shallower and shallower until you get to the coastline. And as such, we're seeing the purple. Anytime the Hurricane Center brings out the purple, you need to be worried because we're looking at 10 feet plus, and up in their little scale, it says 12 feet plus. So, I don't know anybody that's 10 feet tall, not on this planet. And yeah, that's problematic. From up here in the west side of the Big Bend, if you will, the Appalachia Bay, and I'm cheating because I don't know how you say that name. It's all right. All the way down to the other place that I don't know how to say its name. I'll have to get down here and meet with some locals and have them tell it to me a few times. But the bottom line, all kidding aside, this purple is no good. Now, luckily, sparsely populated, relatively speaking, compared to these areas, right? But people do live here, and they are in grave danger. And I'm going to tell you something. Any storm chaser that thinks they're going to go down to Keaton Beach or Horseshoe Beach or maybe even over to Perry, good luck. I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying, you think you want to take that chance, you go right ahead. Maybe you'll be fine. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. That's why we have our cameras. But this includes St. Mark's up here. And depending on where this comes ashore, if it were to be a little bit more to the west over here with the center and you get that onshore flow, you could see surge reaching up into the southern suburbs of Tallahassee. And I'm not joking about that. So where it makes landfall is very important, the angle of approach. So the overall peak surge are what you see here in these numbers, including a few feet down in the Florida Keys, 2 to 4 feet from Inglewood south. And then you get into the Tampa Bay area, 5 to 8 feet. And remember, that's above ground level. So places like Bayshore and some of those highways that cross some of these St. Pete over Tampa, anything that's low and you can look out and see the water, that's going to be underwater. Probably, I would say this is very likely because of that angle of approach. And if it gets even closer, let's say the landfall is like this, and I certainly hope it's not for these folks' sake, it'll be even higher. So the storm surge is my biggest concern, and we cannot just wait and hope that it'll be fine. If you've got stuff you got to get out of there, you need to do that today and tomorrow, and then that's it, because the waves are going to start coming in. And the other thing, and I mentioned this yesterday, as the track comes up, whatever it's going to be, the entire way up, it's just going to be pushing that surge in front of it, and it's going to focus it right up in here. Very concerned about Cedar Key, and we'll be going there first tomorrow, by the way, and we'll talk about that as I move forward. Inland. So, these don't stop when they hit the coast. We talk about that often, but maybe not often enough. This is going to spread very heavy rain all the way into the deep south here, the southeast U.S. Look at all that rain in Georgia, eastern Alabama, and then really problematic up here in the Appalachians, the mountains of western North Carolina. Asheville up through Spruce Pine, Bakersville, where my parents used to live, right on up, maybe even towards Boone. You got Appalachian State University up there, spreading out into the Piedmont. This is going to be a big problem. This Helene to be will be moving quickly. Remember, Michael did that in 2018. We will see hurricane conditions spreading inland here a pretty good distance. So there will be millions of people without power, and I urge you to get ready for that now, not just in Florida, but all up in this area where the path of future Helene will be going. And just to remind you of where that is, let's jump over real quick to our site, the interactive map. And as it loads up there, by the way, all those little camera things are our permanent cameras, but it shows tropical storm, but 70 miles per hour in south central Georgia, that's a problem. And then this passes very close to Atlanta. So Atlanta Hartsfield, you can forget it. That's going to be rolled up. And all that energy over on the east side over here, Charlotte Douglas, rolled up, so you got to plan for that. Maybe Raleigh. So you get two major hubs out here potentially rolled up, as I say, and that's going to have a lot of flight disruption problems. So if you're traveling in the next few days, take that into consideration. This is what I mean when we talk about impacts. We're so focused on category and these numbers that we label things with that we forget about impacts. You might be like, I live in Atlanta, whatever, and I'm going to Atlanta, I'm flying out of Atlanta, whatever the case may be. Hurricanes hitting Florida, what difference does it make to me? Right there. That's the difference it should make to you. So you need to be checking FlightAware, your Delta, your Southwest, whoever, American, and get on it. United, the whole bit. Because Charlotte and Atlanta, especially in terms of major hubs, could be severely impacted as we go forward. What else did I want to show you? So this is really important stuff. The local products, yes. So go back to the National Hurricane Center homepage and you click over. So there's the homepage. You scroll down, and then I want you to look for National Weather Service local products right there. That is very, very important. I'm going to circle it right there for you. Click on that, and that takes you to this landing page where you've got all the various weather forecast offices that are affected, these WFOs, the Weather Forecast Office, and then you can click on these, and they're put together by the local staff. So if you really care about this stuff and you want to drill down and get more local information, this right here is your new best friend for doing just that. All right. And you can take these links and you can share them with your friends and family and colleagues and it is very, very helpful. Let me give you an example. Let's look at the Tampa Bay area because that's the biggest population center threatened by our soon to be hurricane. And here you go. They're just outside the cone. This is an interactive map. Really, really helpful to understand the impacts here. This is the wind threat. You have local product, satellite radar. I mean, it's just laid out for you. All you got to do is look for it. It's right there at your fingertips. Now, CJ wanted me to mention something, and that would be don't forget to highlight the Know Your Zone tools available in Florida. Tell people to just Google their county, know your zone. You can use Sarasota County as an example if you want, or Hillsborough. And what CJ means is if you're not sure if your evacuation zone of it, Google that stuff. Look up your evacuation zone for Florida called Know Your Zone. And if you're new to the area or whatever, what county am I in? Just Google it. Everything's right there at our fingertips. It's amazing, but you have to do the work. You got to take advantage of that stuff. All right. Um, yeah, we'll worry about this later. Probably not going to do much. Stay out east of everything. So let's see. The next part I've already posted here. Yes. So what we're going to be doing is I'll be heading out in just a little bit, and we're going to set up these camera systems and these weather stations, and you can be a part of it. I talked about our Discord. You join up on Patreon to become a part of our community. This is the worst part. I hate talking money and pitching things, but if I don't, I can't operate. But it's also a terrific way to build the community, and that's been the most successful part of this over the last several years as our community has gotten bigger and bigger. And we work together. Like I mentioned yesterday, it's like a co-op. And then if you join on Patreon, you'll have access to our Discord, and that's sitting over here, right? And you get all our different channels that we've got, and it's terrific. A really, really neat resource. I'm glad my back end team finally got me on there a couple of years ago. I was kind of hesitant. As an older person, I don't know the Discord that well. Now I do, and I love it. And then once you sign up on Patreon, you use your email address and you click over here on the hurricanetrack.com homepage and you log in with your Patreon, whatever you signed up with. So if it's John Smith at gmail.com that you used on Patreon to sign up, that's what you put right there in the username, right there. And then from there, you unlock the magic of the Hurricane Track Insider site that has been put together by a great group of people that has all these different tabs up here that bring our world to life. Our interactive map, the list of all of the different cameras. I mean, we're going to have so many of them out there, plus the weather station information. And there's other stuff, our documentaries, our podcasts that we've got. If you like long form podcast, I got you covered. It's called Stories from the Hurricane Highway. And it's literally a history, like a book on tape almost. But this is, I think, my favorite right here. Honestly, is sorry, I got to get it going. The interactive map that was crafted by our friend Will Woodgate over in the UK. Absolutely love this. Truly interactive. You can go up here and change the base map. Let me move me out of the way. And the different layers. If you want it to be dark, or you want it to be the ocean. I think they took that one away. That's a bummer. The National Geographic's my favorite. The physical map gives you an idea of everything. And then our cameras will slowly, as we set these up, let's talk about that a little bit. Our camera systems will start populating throughout the area. We'll put a few around the Tampa Bay area, might give a couple to CJ for down here, and then we're going to spread them all up the coast here and blanket the area with, like, I think I'm bringing 15 of them this time or something like that. Two of our weather stations, we'll set those up, and all of that feeds into the member-supported Hurricane Track Insider site that you get to, how? From the Hurricane Track homepage after you sign up over here. Would love for you to stick around and be a sustaining member if you can. You can downgrade your membership from wherever you sign up, like the $10 level gets you into everything. You can go just to the $4 level after that. That's fine. That movement of the membership, I think that's a wonderful thing that Patreon has allowed, and it helps creators like me to do this year round because we do more than just hurricanes now. All right. So again, impacts, impacts, impacts. This is I'm good, but this is the best. All right. This is the GOAT. The people that work at the Hurricane Center are the best in the world. They make mistakes, they get stuff wrong, just like all of us do, but you can't beat them. And there's a terrific amount of information here. I'm pointing you in that direction. It's up to you to check it out and share it with people. Let's jump over on the YouTube chat real quick. Anybody got any questions for me before I let you go? I appreciate some of the good comments here. I mean, it is just tremendous what the power of social media can do, as long as you, the person on social media, are not a jackwagon. You know what I mean? If you act like a clown, you're gonna get the stuff back at you. And so I really appreciate the hey, there's Crystal. How about that? That's Jesse's wife. Hey, Crystal. Old Jesse. Yeah, that's funny. That's terrific that you're on here. So here's one from Ken. Hey, Mark, I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I'm definitely going to be getting hit with big winds. Yeah, probably. That's a tough one. You got to watch that Hurricane Center homepage there, the wind info right down here, the wind speed probabilities. There you go. This will be changeable. You have your hurricane wind, your 50-knot wind, and your tropical storm. So let's just look at hurricane wind probability. In the Tampa Bay area, it's pretty low right now. But 50-knot wind, that's higher. But this will change, obviously, as what eventually will be Helene gets moving and we start nailing down the track better. So again, it's all right there for you. All right. So somebody asked about any word of the missing weather station. Nope, we put a lot of effort into it and found a whole bunch of different clues that led us to nowhere. And so we decided, all right, somebody's got a weather station, terrible human being as they may be, you win. So we have been able to replace it. People helped to fund a brand new one. And we've also employed some new measures into the existing weather station fleet that, unless you bring dynamite, good luck. What is it from Guardians of the Galaxy? What is he says, what is it, Chris Pratt? He has that term, a-holes. Good luck, a-holes. Yes, Mark's getting punchy here. Appreciate you asking about it. But yeah, you're gonna need to bring your dynamite and your extractor, like you're trying to get a vehicle open the jaws of life to remove these things going forward. Just fair warning. So, we learned the hard way. I was too trusting and never again. Because we got to get you the data. That's what we do. That's what we do the best. So I got to wrap this up and I got to get on the road. We will be live tomorrow on YouTube, of course. Before I go, let me just make sure I didn't miss um, a post here from somebody. If Helene's pushing all this water before it, what kind of storm surge? Yeah, so D.H. Powell, hopefully I covered that with what I showed you earlier. I get push notifications from our Patreon. But yes, we'll be live starting tomorrow as we set everything up. I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that. First stop will be Cedar Key. We have a lot of contacts there. And when you see the camera stuff we set up from Cedar Key, wow. We're definitely bringing our A+ game this time around. And then we'll go from there, probably down to Tampa Bay and vicinity, St. Pete. There's a marina there that I know well. And they're going to move back up around towards St. Mark's. And we got a lot of work to do. I'll be joined by Greg Nordstrom and then our friend Marcel, our Brazilian buddy that's come up here several years ago to help study hurricanes from Brazil, now living in the United States with his wife. And then good old Matt Clemens coming. He'll be joining us. He's from Colorado. So that's all these people, by the way, except for Greg Nordstrom. I've known him for a long time. Met them because of our Patreon. How about that? Crowdfunding and crowdsourcing. Can't beat it. So that's it. I'll roll this up. I know I have to um, like stop the stream after I stop talking. Actually, I remember now. Turn my camera off, and then it's just weird how the Zoom stuff works. Let's see if I can get this to go back. Bring me back. Where am I? It's not letting me do it. Let's see. Yes, I want to exit ink to go. And I have to stop sharing my screen. What a fool. All right, so I'm going to turn my camera off, turn my mic off, and I'll let you go after that. Thanks for watching. I am Mark Sudduth, still figuring this out. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for supporting everything we're doing. I'll see you again tomorrow from the Sunshine State. All right, be safe out there. Make good choices, as we tell our kids, right? And I will see you next time around from Florida.